Herping, Arizona. Today's AHA meeting by Chris Haas.
Well, welcome to our summer meeting here for the Arizona Herpetological Association. I want to do a few thank yous first before we start. I want to thank Declan and the crew at Reptile Junction and Apache Junction for sponsoring this month's meeting. And if you ever get a chance to go out there,
Here's what they gave you.
okay, you can pass it up.
There you go.
Thank you, Kathy. Then I want to thank USARC, United States Association of Reptile Keepers. If you guys aren't familiar with them, they are basically the lobbying group for reptile keepers and for people that enjoy going out looking for reptiles and amphibians. They donated a whole bunch of t-shirts. So if you buy one of our shirts, you can have one of their shirts for free, or if you want to just make a small donation, you can get one of their shirts. And then also I want to thank Ruben Rivera. He's provided all the snacks and the water today. So he's your savior.
So eat up and drink up so I don't have to take anything home.
Yeah. Welcome. Got snacks and waters there if you need them. Otherwise, take a seat and we'll get back to it. Coming up soon, at probably the next meeting, we're going to start getting really serious about things. We need people to step up and volunteer to be board of directors, officers, that sort of thing, president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, anybody that, you know, that's got a couple hours here or there. It's not something that you have to turn your life upside down over. I mean, it's like asking Kayla. I mean, she spent all of what, an hour in the last 3 months.
I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a huge ask. And then, for those of you who are interested, if you got your calendars ready, our next meeting after today will be November 8th. Same place, same time. And we're going to have Chad Ruki from Arizona Game and Fish. He's the Turtle Project Coordinator. And he's going to be doing a presentation on some work he and his crew have been doing with yellow mud turtles in southeast Arizona. So, anybody have any questions before we start? Yes?
Did you want to talk about volunteers for the Phoenix Reptile Expo?
That's right, yeah. Phoenix Reptile Expo has told us that they will donate a table for us, but we need volunteers to man that table.
I'll help.
So we can try and get rid of the rest of our t-shirts so that we can get seed money to get a new design going. So that's going to be the goal for that event. So if anybody's willing to step up and volunteer, come talk to me afterwards and I'll get your info. Other than that, everybody welcome this month our speaker, Chris Haas, Master Herper. If he hasn't found it, it doesn't exist.
Well, almost.
Well.
How you doing, everybody? Thanks for coming out. A little bit about myself before we get started. I've lived in Arizona for 30-ish years. I grew up in the Bay Area, and so, truth be told, I came out to Arizona in part because of the diversity that we have here. And so, field herping is one of those things that keeps me sane in an insane world. Every chance I get, I'm out hiking around, cruising, and so when I was asked to do this presentation, I started thinking about how can I present how I see field herping to you guys. And I thought the most systematic way to do it was the 5 W's and the H. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. And then my next question was, how do I go about, you know, who's my target? I'm obviously going to be relating to things a little bit differently than somebody who's never herped before. So I kind of mixed all that together. So I'm aiming this towards somebody that maybe has never herped before, but kind of, you know, is interested in it and wants to do it. But hopefully those more experienced herpers can get something out of this too. So with that being said, that's the title and what this is going to be about, the 5 W's and 1 H of field herping in Arizona.
Right there.
Okay. Good call, thanks. So what is field herping? When I was a kid, field herping wasn't a term. It was field collecting, it was snake hunting, but by and large, it all kind of refers to the same thing. And that is, the simplest, most accurate definition is the pursuit of reptiles and amphibians in the field, regardless of the method of pursuit. And we'll talk about different methods later. But that's what it is. So, to somebody who's not really into reptiles and amphibians, you say you're going herping, you get this weird kind of look, right? Like, and so that's typically how I'll explain it to somebody that doesn't know what it is. You know, I go looking for reptiles and amphibians, I go looking for snakes, what have you. But that's, for the most part, that's what it is. And so who does it? Quick show of hands, who's field herped before? Who never has?
Not specific.
Okay. So, people from a lot of different demographics, occupations and whatnot, I'm sure if we took a survey in here, we'd get a lot of different people from a lot of different places that do a lot of different things that enjoy field herping. Myself, I drive a truck for a living, so adults and children do it. Most adult herpers started in childhood. When I did it, there was really not even a name for it. I was the weird snake kid. Somebody would find a snake in the yard or in the neighborhood, and they would come to me and put it in, what is this? And I've actually talked to a lot of different field herpers, and it seems to be a fairly common thing. Is it's a passion that was stoked early in childhood. And then you kind of realize at some point, wow, there's other people that go out here and like looking for these things too. That's pretty cool. So it has traditionally been a male-dominated activity. A lot, although thankfully that's changing in recent years. More and more females are going out there and enjoying looking for animals. A lot more are getting involved in research. One of the things that I want to see is to get more underserved communities involved in it. Because a lot of people in underserved communities may not even know that it exists. And so I think that they would have a lot to offer in terms of different perspectives, different methods. Field herping is for everybody. That's at least my motto. So the more people we can make aware of it, who knows? Maybe the next Lawrence Clobber comes from field herping. Oh, for those who don't know, Lawrence Clobber is a noted rattlesnake scientist.
From the past.
From way in the past.
Yeah.
In fact, the banded rock rattlesnake, Crotalus lepidus clobberi, is named after Lawrence Clobber. So when do we field herp? That's dependent on a variety of factors. What are we looking for? Are we looking for chuckwallas, or are we looking for tiger salamanders? What time of year is it? So if it's the middle of January, you can still find herps. But what you're going to find and where you're going to look is going to be very different. Where in the state are we? So are we up around Window Rock, or are we down by Douglas? And what methods are we going to use? So generally speaking, animals are most active in the day, in the spring and the fall. And then, as I'm sure every single one of you walking in here, you probably don't want to be hanging out outside in this weather for too long. Reptiles are pretty much the same way. So as far as when I do it, I typically enjoy early morning hikes. That's my preferred method. I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, wondering what I'm doing with my life. But once I'm actually vertical, that tends to be, for a variety of reasons, when I enjoy going out. Also during this time, at night, you can go out. Once the sun is set and it's cooled off to a chilly 90 degrees, you can go out hiking.
So like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's only 88.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do we do all this? I'm sure if every single person that raised their hand that they field herp, if I asked you why you did this, I'd probably get some fairly common answers, and I'd get some answers, wow, I never thought of that. So the reason I do it, I'm fascinated. It's our natural world, and seeing how things adapt and how things live, that's a privilege from my perspective. But some of the other reasons, maybe academic research or surveys. Arizona Game and Fish runs surveys for a lot of different wildlife, not just reptiles and amphibians, but there's a black-footed ferret survey, I believe. There is a flat-tailed horned lizard survey that they do, and that would be a good reason. In fact, that's actually, if you haven't field herp before and you want to try, so that's a great resource to do that, because you get together with other people and do a survey with Arizona Game and Fish, and you see all kinds of cool stuff while you're doing those surveys. Again, personal passion for the animals themselves. I kind of wanted to stay away from the captive side a little bit, because this is about field herping and going out into the world and finding these animals. That said, I do have to acknowledge that there is a captive side to this. And so some people will field herp if they're looking for a particular animal to diversify their bloodlines in their already captive collections. People will do this with things like rosy boas or any other types of animals as well. Creating art through photography. I'm a big photographer. I'm not going to say I never collect anything anymore, but 99% of what I find is left exactly as I found it. And that, I take photographs. The old adage, take nothing but photos, leave nothing but footprints. It's kind of a little bit about what I'm about these days. Competition with like-minded herpers. So,
That's number one.
yeah. There are some people that have friendly competitions where, they'll even hiking the same place, they'll sort of keep a tally of, I found this many, and so on and so forth. So that's, hopefully it's friendly. Sometimes maybe not so much. I don't know, but yeah, competition is sort of, me personally. Yeah, every once in a while I'll have a competition with somebody, but for the most part I just like going out and seeing stuff. If I go out and I'm hiking for 3 or 4 hours and I see a western diamondback, hey, that's a success. There's not too many other people that can go out and do that. That's something special to me. So how do we field herp? How do we do this? There's 3 primary methods in Arizona: hiking, cruising, and flipping. You'll need some different tools depending upon which method you choose to include. So if you're hiking, I'm dressed like if you were to see me in the field. This is what you would see. And Wendy over here can attest. And there's a method to my madness here. So a wide brimmed hat to keep the sun off my head. Long sleeve shirt, and it's 100 and some odd degrees outside today. Why are you wearing a long sleeve shirt? Well, it's a PFG fishing shirt. It's super thin, and it keeps the sun off of my skin. And it's actually very comfortable. I can hike for hours in this shirt. Pants with pockets to put stuff like phones and stuff. Good hiking boots. You'll get another close-up look at this boot later, so don't worry about that. Lots of water. More water than you think you're going to drink, bring it, because you're going to drink it. Animal handling equipment, so hooks, tongs, gloves, so on and so forth. If you're going to cruise, and basically what cruising is you're taking a stretch of road and you're just cruising up and down. Depending on what you're looking for, it's going to be, depending on how fast you go. I personally, when I cruise, I like to go about 40, 45 miles an hour. Generally speaking, the more road you cover, the more animals you have a chance of seeing. Some people will cruise at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Okay. A cell phone. For a couple of reasons. One, if something happens while you're on a hike, you fall and sprain your ankle or something like that. Or you find an animal that you know a friend really wanted to see, so you send them a picture and rub it in a little bit. All good reasons to have a cell phone. A camera. I am sort of old school. I actually have an actual Canon camera with lenses and all that stuff. These days, I mean, this is pretty much all you need. So, although this one takes terrible pictures. Water, snacks, broad-billed hat, sunscreen, so on and so forth. So those are some of the, as far as flipping goes, in my experience, I have found stuff flipping before, but it is not a major method of herping in Arizona. And I think some of the reasons for that is our ground typically does not hold moisture like a lot of other areas of the country. If you go into, how you doing? If you're going into Southern California, for example, or some places in the Southeast, if you're not flipping, you're not herping. So by flipping, what I mean is you have like boards that either people have intentionally set out or just like a garbage pile. And what animals will do is they'll use these garbage piles or these boards as cover. So they like to hide them. And so that's what flipping is. Okay. So where do we field herp? Again, it's dependent on a variety of factors. What species are we looking for? What time of year? We're starting to see some common themes here. Climatic conditions. The magic of finding your own spots, and I'm going to come to this a little bit later. But climatic conditions are super important, especially if you have friends or family that are coming to Arizona on a herping trip, and they have a whole itinerary of where they're going to be, what they want to do, on to the next spot. My advice to people that do that, if you have friends and family that do that, go where the weather says you need to go. Because you can have, if they're up here for 2 weeks, and the first place they're hitting is bone dry, well, instead of wasting the day or two that you're there, look at, go to, I use My Radar. It's a great app for your cell phone, because it has real-time radar with, where the storms are and so on and so forth. So go where the weather's going to take you. As far as the species go, a lot of people like to hit the southeastern corner of the state. It is an amazingly diverse, fantastic area of the state. You have a lot of animals there that aren't found anywhere else in the country, and in some cases the world. I like Western Arizona personally, just because that's a little bit more my flavor. Oh, no worries. Time of year, again, you'd be surprised in terms of when you can find things. I've found snakes in every single month of the year. They're doing different things in different times of the year, so in December, they're pretty much they're hanging out outside hibernaculum on a warm day. They're not really moving around. They're not looking for food. They're just out basking. But in August, yeah, they're out looking for mates, looking for food, trying to get a drink, doing all their life activities because they have a very, very short window to do that. Magic of finding your own spots. So if you do enough research, you're going to find your own spots. And the initial inclination is going to be you want to share that spot with all your friends, because who wouldn't, right? Like if you have friends that, let's say hypothetically, you've been looking for a species for a couple of years and you finally found a spot that has that species, that's awesome. I'm sort of conflicted between wanting to share my joy of field herping and understanding that doing so is inadvertently setting these animals up in a precarious situation. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, that's, where we field herp. Arizona's great. We have more public land in this state than a lot of other states. You can't just look on Google Earth and pick a spot that looks good and go out and herp it in Texas, because it's probably private land. A note about that as well. I kind of covered this in the legality section a little bit, but Arizona's fantastic. In fact, from a field herping perspective, there's not a lot of other states that beat it. You know, so that's kind of why I'm here. Yes. Okay. All right, so a few words about legalities. It would be great, maybe, if in order to get started field herping, all you had to do was pick a good spot, go out and herp it. But there are legalities to this because Arizona Game and Fish considers herping the pursuit of reptiles and amphibians to be hunting. The same way if I was to go deer hunting. So from a legality perspective, they're considered the same. They're very different activities, but the way Arizona Game and Fish looks at it is if you're pursuing an animal, you are hunting it. So be aware of the legalities of herping where you are. What I meant when I said that is, am I herping on private land? Is this Bureau of Land Management land? Is it straight state trust land? Am I herping in a city park? Am I herping in a regional park? There's different rules for all those different areas. And so before you go out, become familiar with those rules. Be aware of the license permit requirements of where you're going to be herping. So as a general rule, for reptiles, you need a general hunting license if you are over the age of 16. As a general rule, with amphibians, it's a fishing license.
Even if you don't collect anything.
Even if you don't collect anything.
Just looking at
Just
stuff.
Even if, yeah.
Just for taking pictures.
So, yes, that's a good point. So if I'm out herping and I find a snake and it's sitting there, and I take pictures of it, but I don't touch it, I don't do anything with it, that's called in situ photography. In situ is Latin for as it sits. So I found it, I took pictures of it, what have you. I could theoretically make the argument that I wasn't hunting that animal. That animal happened to be there. That said, if I have a hook or whatever and I pose the animal on a rock, I've hunted the animal. I need a permit for that. There are also other places in the state where in addition to a hunting license, you need additional licenses. One of those is in the southeastern corner of the state. There are additional licenses you're going to need to be able to legally be on that land. So be aware of the season status of the various animals you may encounter. What I mean when I say that is you have open season species and closed season species. Some open season species would include things like chuckwallas, gopher snakes, side blotch lizards. Some closed season species are what we normally would traditionally consider protected. So you've got your ridge-nosed rattlesnakes, your banded rock rattlesnakes, your Massasaugas, your twin-spotted rattlesnakes, your narrow-headed garter snakes, the list goes on. That said, the nice thing is Arizona Game and Fish publishes its pamphlet every year with the reptile and amphibian regulations. You can get it at azgfd.org. Yeah, .gov, I'm sorry. In that it breaks down the species, whether it's open or closed season, and your bag and possession limits. Your bag and possession limits are, you can have so many of this species of animal in your possession. Bag limits are how much you have right then. So some you'll have, like, if your possession limit is 4, that means you can only possess at any time up to 4 individuals. Your bag limit is 4, you can have at any time up to 4 at that point in time. So be aware of the possession bag limits for the species that you may encounter. Be aware of vehicle laws if you are road cruising. It is illegal to be road cruising looking for reptiles and amphibians and shine a flashlight out your window to look at something. That's illegal. You have to actually get out of your vehicle before you turn on the flashlight. That's just one example. So as far as legalities, if you don't know, if you're unsure, just find out before you go. Because the last thing you want is to be pulled over by a game and fish warden or a police officer. The whole, like, oh, I didn't know, is not gonna fly, so. All right, a few words of caution. So, some of the things that just popped into my head, sharing content online, just about everybody in this room probably has a Facebook or other social media, Insta-herping, and the possible effects. So, opinions are gonna vary on this. I'll just give you my outlook and you can run with it or discard it however you see fit. I don't normally post stuff until the quote unquote off season. And the reason I do that is that yes, we all know that animals may be active a particular time of year. But if I post a photo and you're able to see exactly where that animal came from, and I posted, I said, hey, I saw this animal yesterday. Well, people are gonna get up and they're gonna go out to that spot and they're gonna look for that animal. So that's the insta-herping part. Taking others to spots you have found, and that kind of goes back to a little bit of what I was saying. I can't sit here and say that I've never taken somebody to a spot that I found. I can tell you that I hardly ever do so anymore, and those that I do take, I trust implicitly. I know that these people will not share this spot with others. The problem with sharing spots is if Ruben and I are friends over here, hey Ruben, I just found this great spot, let me take you to it, I take you to it. A week later, you and I get in a fight, and you want to get back at me, right? Well, you're going to take a bunch of people I don't know to our spot because you know it's going to bother me. The information spider webs out. Once you release that information to another party, you have zero control over who gets it or what they do with it. And so, just a word of caution, and the whole reason is, it's not that I'm trying to be, I don't want to be a butthead and say, hey, I know I'm not going to share my spots with you. It's not about that. It's about the welfare of the animals. The more human traffic in an area, it's going to change their behaviors. So, just something to keep in mind. Discussing specific sensitive info with others online. And with a lot of the online groups like the Herping Arizona group, every once in a while we'll get people that will post online about, hey, I'm coming to Arizona in 2 weeks, and these are the species I'm looking for, can anybody give me any spots? And invariably they're met with a bunch of snide remarks and so on and so forth. They don't know what they're asking. They know what they're asking, but they don't know how it comes across to us. We have a lot of very desirable species in Arizona. Arizona mountain king snakes, green rat snakes, rosy boas. People, there's reasons that people come here from all over the world every year to look for these animals. So, I typically won't do that. I will help somebody. Like if they want pointers or they want, information, I'm looking for rosy boas. Okay, well, generally speaking, this is the best time of year to look for them. This is the habitat you want to target, so on and so forth. I'm not going to give them a specific locale. I'm not going to give them anything they couldn't go to the library and find. So, landmarks and photos. So when you are posting photos, whether it's in season or out of season, just be careful. It's very, very easy to find landmarks, and I can tell you exactly where you were at based upon that photo, and no other information. I also kind of wanted to, I didn't specifically reference it here, but this is the right place for it. There are publicly accessible herp databases, things like Herp Mapper, iNaturalist, so on and so forth. I have my own opinion of those. You may have a different opinion, it's fine. I will tell you why I have my opinion is that I don't think in the larger scale of things it benefits the animals to have locations where they are found available to just anybody and everybody. Because, unfortunately, some people that engage in this field herping passion that we have, they may not be the most ethical or most upstanding citizens. And I don't want to put the animals, because the animals don't have a choice, they live where they live. They can't just get up and move. I don't want to put them in a compromising position because of a decision that I made. So, is there anything that I touched on, anything anybody feels like I need to talk about a little bit more, flesh out a little bit more, have a question?
Location tags and photos.
What's that?
Like location data. Photos.
Yes, okay, good call. So, everybody kind of has their own sort of outlook on what's okay as far as specific locations in a photo. I'll post a photo of a western diamondback. I typically will not go any more specific than county level. I found this in Maricopa County. Maricopa County is big enough And if you know Western Diamondbacks, anywhere in Maricopa County, you have a chance of running into one. It also, however, is going to vary a little bit upon the species. There are some species where I won't give any location at all, period, just because they're that sensitive.
I posted a photo online. I didn't realize embedded in the photo is the coordinates of
Yes.
where it was.
Yes.
And I was told to take it down.
Mhm. So what I typically do to avoid that is you can change the settings in your camera to not capture the metadata, or I typically will take a photo.
Take a screenshot of it or
Take a
something.
screenshot of it, something like that. Or what I will do is I will download it to a photo editing software, do my photo, photo looks exactly how I want to do it, and then I'll basically download it to a third party before I post it. And that will wipe the data. Or at least it should.
If I took off today or tonight looking for snakes, am I have to find anything this kind of weather?
I have a saying, anytime you're in habitat, you have a shot. That said, so far this year's been weird. And those that have field herp, you can feel, I have seen stuff, but my numbers have been down, and I think a lot of that has to do with our lack of rain thus far. I got you. Normally, in the wintertime, we actually usually get a fair amount of rain. December, January, we got almost none this year. And that really kind of has rolled into spring, which has rolled into summer. I would say that if you are gonna go out looking this year, let's say you're gonna go cruising, I would not cruise before the temperature gets at least the low 90s, because that asphalt is going to be cooking. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, thank you.
I'm just honestly curious about your view on the full moon. Some people swear one way or the other, and I'm just curious because that hasn't been mentioned yet.
Okay, there is a theory out there, for those that aren't aware of it, that animals do not come out, or they're not active during a full moon, with the rationale being it makes them easier for predators to see them. My personal view of it, I think that it's species specific.
Okay.
Some species don't seem to care. So for example, sidewinders, in my experience, I've seen sidewinders on no moon nights, full moon nights, they don't seem to care. Other species I have seen, and it's anecdotal, and it may be confirmation bias to a certain extent, but there are some species that I see all the time on a no moon night that I will not see on a full moon night. So, any other questions?
I have a question. When you go hiking to herping and finding, do you go on trails or is this like off trail?
Great question. The answer is yes and no. Typically, what I look for when I'm hiking are dynamic features in the landscape. The most common dynamic feature in the landscape that I have found that will consistently is our desert washes. And the reason for that is when animals come out of their overwintering sites and they wake up and they're looking for food, they're looking for mates, they're looking to do all the snake things. The washes tend to be areas that concentrate those opportunities. And so during the spring and the summer and the monsoon season, you're going to find me in a wash. If I'm hiking early spring, I'm up on a hillside, because the animals haven't migrated out of their overwintering sites yet, but they may be basking in front of them. So, good question.
That's the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 to see some of the photos.